God. So obviously, this is a strong moral to a person that the kayach achiyos of a person is all in the kayach haseichel. And this was Shlomo HaMelech's ruling. It's interesting that the nida, the shiloh, which we are going to deal with next week, the first shiloh Shlomo HaMelech had, which is recorded here, was a case where he paskined to chop a child in half, as you know. And it's interesting, he had decided the same shiloh with two people that were fused together, and where are they one or are they two? So this, again, is something we can learn here from Shlomo HaMelech. Now, before we go on to the first in Torah of Shlomo, is one more lesson we find in Chazal from these psukim, which I'd like to touch on. Vayas mishtel l'chol avodav. He threw a celebration, he made a party after he was given chachma. This has tremendous application in din. We find in Medrash Shir Hashirim, and this is brought down by the Beis Yosef in Yerachayim Samad Tufreish Samach Tes. What is the source for Simchas Torah? Simchas Torah, we celebrate finishing the Torah. The source is here, Shlomo HaMelech. There's no source in Gemara and Halacha. The source is from Shlomo HaMelech. That when Shlomo HaMelech was told that he had a great chachma, a great ability in chachma, he celebrated. So from here we learn out that a person should make a celebration b'goyim shel Torah. When he finishes learning the whole thing, he should make a celebration with food, dafka with a kiddush on Simchas Torah. You think Simchas Torah, people make a kiddush just because they want to eat? No. People make a kiddush because it says in Beis Yosef. So you have to make a kiddush. So that's the source is here. The Marsha in Shabbos Daf Kuf Yud Tes, the Gemara says, Amar Abaya Tisili. Abaya says that he prides himself. Dichi Chazina Tzurba Me Rabbanan, De Sholem Mesechta, Avida Yumatayvel Rabbanan. He said that he made a siyum. If you finish a Mesechta, you make a siyum. Zok the Marsha, what's the source for celebrating a siyum, a Mesechta? Shlomo HaMelech. Shlomo HaMelech celebrated. So this is the source for that, and I believe the Gra in Yeridei Simon Reishman Vav points to here for the source of a siyum. The Chavis Yoyer in the Tshuva Ayin, there was a person who swore he would not have Hanoah except for Mesudas Mitzvah. For the whole Aseres he made Tshuva, he's not going to eat only by Mesudas Mitzvah. So we asked the Chavis Yoyer, what about a siyum? The Chavis Yoyer brings a siyum as a Sudas Mitzvah. Why? Again, from Shlomo HaMelech. And he goes further. He says that if you make a siyum on one day, the next day, the sudas you make are also included in Sudas Mitzvah as a celebration. A siyum is a special simcha which could extend. So this is a source for this concept of simcha. The chayra, this is very shver. It's nice, a medrash, you have a party. Who has a kasha on having parties? So it sounds like a nice makar. It seems to be a tremendous difficulty. What are we saying? What happened to Shlomo HaMelech? He was told, Hashem told him, I'm going to give you chachma. I'm going to open for you chachma. He woke up, he knew sichas ha'ifais. He had tremendous chachma as no one else. So he celebrated. It seems to me we're learning a kal from a chamor. If you make a celebration for being given the chachma of chacham mikol adam, from there we learn that if you make a siyum on a mesechta, you learned hurrius for 2 weeks, and you're making a siyum, so we learn from there there's a mitzvah to make a siyum. How can you compare Shlomo's celebration from something where he had a tremendous bracha, so you celebrate? From there we're saying, if you have to celebrate for that, you have to celebrate for making a siyum on one mesechta. You're learning from the chomer to the kal. How can we learn from a celebration for such a tremendous thing to a celebration which is on a lower level? The answer is, on the contrary. We're learning mekal el hachomer. What's the question? What's the issue? The issue is, of course you celebrate. You become a chacham mikol adam, of course. You make a siyum, of course you celebrate. The question is it appropriate? You make a siyum on a masechta, so you celebrate. What do? You have all kinds of food. You indulge in gashmiistic enjoyments. You throw a celebration when you have delicious food. You bring in that's a celebration for ruchnius, eating. A person could say that's not an appropriate celebration. So we say no. We learn from Shlomo HaMelech and Simchas Torah the same thing. It says to have a mishteh, maichelu mishteh. We're learning from Shlomo HaMelech. He was chacham mikol adam. He had a bracha of tremendous chachma. And he understood, vayal, he threw a mishteh. He understood to throw a mishteh. Mishteh means with wine, with what to drink. Madach the chacham mikol adam is such a high madrega. He includes macholim and mashke in his celebration. So we, who are on a lower level, our celebration certainly would include maichel and mishteh. It's appropriate. We're learning out this chidush that the gashmiistic enjoyments are supposed to be incorporated into a siyum. Now, why is that? So Chazal tell us in Masechta Shabbos, because the siyum is something which gives a person encouragement to go on. A siyum is something that encourages people to continue, that encourages people to mark the siyum, to celebrate, and that comes with the physical enjoyment. The enjoyment, the gashmiistic enjoyment, is to be used for this encouragement. How appropriate to learn this tonight. Tomorrow, Daf Yomi makes a siyum on Seder Nezikin. A siyum is a time of ischaskus, and starts on Monday, Seder Kachim. If there's any Seder in which it's appropriate, especially appropriate, to learn Daf Yomi, what does Daf Yomi do? It doesn't make you an expert in Shas. You remember you learned it. Sometimes you remember which Masechta, sometimes you're not sure. But it gives you the yediyas, the basic knowledge, the language of a Masechta, the language of a Seder, the language of the different avodas in the Beis Hamikdash, Kachim, which most of us did not learn in yeshiva. By learning Daf Yomi and Seder Kachim, a person becomes familiar with the basic terminologies, the shakla v'tarya of Kachim. Tomorrow is a siyum, a celebration for Daf Yomi, for finishing Seder Nezikin. Zvachim and Achis, which follow. It's gewaldig to get into Daf Yomi, to know the basic language of these Masechtas. Those of you who didn't yet join Daf Yomi, I encourage you, go to a simcha tomorrow, eat the bagels and lox, and the next day use that as an incentive to join the Daf Yomi. A good tevach.